What's up, guys? I'm Anna.
I'm Christina, and welcome to The Sample Effect.
This is going to be a collection of stories that explore the people, places, and things that make our culture what it is. We'll also discuss the challenges of being original in a time full of creatives.
Through this series, we'll be sitting down with some dope people who give us insight on their creative journeys, as well as mini tutorials on how they do what they do.
On today's episode, we have Uncle Jesse, also known as @JRO on Instagram. He is an art director, sneaker photographer, and actually an uncle. Okay, Jesse, how did you start as a sneaker photographer? That's like so many people's dreams.
It's incredibly niche, right? So I started taking pictures of my sneakers because that's the thing that I had most of, that I loved the most. I posted a couple of photos when I started like finding my groove, and they got picked up by Hypebeast, and this was kind of like the perfect storm.
So you went to school for art direction,
Yes.
and then you got the opportunity. How do you incorporate art direction with photography, but also do you theme it with whatever sneaker comes your way?
Yes,
Okay.
100%. So like, it really depends. It's like, see the shoe, spend some time being like, how do we tell the story that works with this thing? And every single shoot should definitely be different.
It's still pretty evident that you have a style, and I can't quite put my finger on it. Can you describe what your style is and how you manage to maintain that?
So my stuff is really vibrant. So like, I like to think of myself, my personality is very vibrant and vivacious. I like that to be like, exist in my photography. Like for me, one of the biggest kind of tricks that I added into my catalog was floating shoes.
I'm sure people leave comments and they have questions. So what is, in your viewpoint, the most important question you answered and why?
So
For insight.
you get equipment questions a lot. It's
Okay.
like, what are you shooting on? What are you shooting on? What are you shooting on? And my is a cornball answer. It's like, I'm shooting in my imagination. And people
They're probably like, what the hell?
like,
What's
this
he
guy's
on?
way too meta. Like,
Yeah.
what's up with this guy?
I
Like,
want a refund.
Yeah, it's true, but the reality is the best equipment is whatever equipment is in front of you. So you can't be sitting there and saying, I can't be this because I don't have this particular camera. The first features that I ever got where I was like mind boggled were these two Hypebeast features that kind of like really typed my career and like shot it into the direction that it went into, and they were both shot on my iPhone. I didn't even have like a DSLR.
Do you actually have a creative process at all, or do you just like do things on the fly?
I do, and it's taken me a long while to figure out kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So there's that first bit where it's just like someone will brief you on whatever you need to be doing, whatever the shoe may be. And then I think it's really important to kind of just like let your mind wander. And then like at some moment, like something might come from me or something might come to me and I'm like, yo, okay. And then that will go in my notes. And then sometimes I'll just build off of that and kind of take it from there. So it starts in there, and then it's basically like, okay, how do I want to work with, like, what's the setting need to be? Setting's super important. And then what's the color palette? What's the lighting? And then like, I think this is more recent as I've gotten a little bit further along, is like, what are the textures? Tons of set building, which adds another layer to it. And then I usually have like one or two shots that I for sure want to get those, and then just kind of like wing it from there. Then from there, they get run through Lightroom, and then when I'm doing like something where it's like floating, or if there's like some sort of like extra prop that holds something up that needs to be removed, then I'll do all that work in Photoshop.
So we know you from Toronto, and you currently live in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. But yes.
Dartmouth. I don't know the East Coast. Anyway, so you live out in the East.
Yes.
How do you find living in Nova Scotia as a creative? Because, you know, people see Toronto as a mecca for creatives.
So I started my creative career in Toronto after I graduated from Humber, and the job that I ended up in, they asked me to move back to Nova Scotia. And in my brain at the time, I thought to myself, this is a regressive career move. But I learned as I was there that if you hold yourself to the standards of what's going on in the world that's the best, that doesn't mean that because you live in this small little town, you can't keep up on a global scale. So I'm able to work with brands on a global level from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. You know what I mean? And like, that's a really cool thing, and I'm really proud of that. You need to make your own opportunities if you really want to do something.
Speaking of opportunities,
Hey.
aside from being a art director, photographer, uncle,
Yeah.
overall great guy,
You said it, not me.
you now have a clothing brand called Uniform.
Uniform Inc., yes.
Uniform Inc.
Yes.
So tell us about Uniform Inc.
So if we go back to kind of like the Nova Scotian Maritimes thing, the basic ethos of the brand is an interpretation of maritime blue collar. So it's not just about Nova Scotian maritime blue collar. Our hope is eventually to kind of make it about maritime blue collar globally. All the material, besides this wax canvas that we use, which is sourced in the States, is all from Canada. We get it like shipped to us, and then we have it manufactured an hour and a half down the road from the house.
Wow.
It's a very Nova Scotian aesthetic, and we kind of netted out on that because that's what makes us uniquely us. And we're able to take that and bring it other places, and it doesn't feel forced. So if we were in Toronto, we wouldn't be able to make this company the way that we have it now, and that makes us unique amongst kind of like a crowd of other Toronto brands.
All right.
All right, so we put you to a challenge. Every time we have a guest on here, we have a challenge.
Seen them. I'm very nervous.
So we have tasked you with teaching us how to take the perfect sneaker photo.
Okay.
All right, so take us through your steps and
Uncle
see
Jesse's
what
going
you
to show
got.
you, so let's do
Hopefully I can
it.
teach you something.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. If you had any insight or any takeaway from Uncle Jesse's photography skills, let us know. Make sure to tag us at The Sample Effect, and make sure to tag Uncle Jesse at JRow. And yeah, let us see what you got up to.
Don't ask me your questions about equipment.
Comment, like, and subscribe. Ask us in the comments.
Actually, yes, comment a lot. Sorry.